All right, welcome to the Colorado Avalanche 2019-20 shotgun season preview. First off, I just want to apologize if you happen to hear any extra noise. There's a lot of construction going on just beside me across the lot. I gotta say, I'm super stoked for the Avalanche, and they're not even my favorite team. But I gotta say, they are one of my favorites. That's for sure. So many good things have happened. Now, I'm going to just come right out and say they're contenders. Now, are they top tier contenders? Not quite, but we'll get to why. Now, starting with their GM. What am I saying? Jumping ahead of myself here. Let's talk about stats right away. Now, last season they had 90 points. They were fifth in their division. They got a wild card spot into the playoffs. They were 17th overall in the league. On offense, they were 10th. On defense, they were 16th. On the power play, they were 7th, which will probably improve this year. And on the penalty kill, they were 25th. With 78.7%. That might improve a bit as well, considering some of the defense that went out and in, and some of the depth players that they got. All right, so let's start with this. Joe Sakic has got to be one of the best GMs, if he isn't already, in the NHL. The guy, over the past few years, has just worked wonders in trades and UFA signings, and he sort of did it again in this coming season. Now, they have the same coach, who for some reason, Jared Bednar, who there's no reason to believe why he can't take these guys to the promised land, especially this young group that he has peppered in with some nice veterans. And let's start off with the forwards, shall we? Now, we don't need to talk about the first line, really. I mean, but in the end, all I'll say about that is they're not going. I mean, McKinnon is the engine that drives this team. He's second to only McDavid, really, in terms of one-on-one lethalness in the league and speed and so on and so forth. Now, the second line could be just completely new this coming season, and I'm talking about the new guys. Nazem Kadri in a trade from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Andrei Burakovsky in a trade from the Washington Capitals. And Jonas Donskoy, who they picked up as a free agent, formerly of the San Jose Sharks, who had a poor year last season and was scratched a handful of times here and there in the regular season and the playoffs. But hopefully he can return to form. Nazem Kadri had a down year as well, but before last year, he had back-to-back 30-goal seasons. And when John Tavares was signed, he was bumped down to the third line, only potted about 16 goals. He's totally got the potential to put up at least, I would say, 20, maybe even closer to 25 for this season. And they're going to throw him on the power play, which will probably make it even more lethal than it was before, as well as, Makar, which we'll get to in a second. Now, Burakovsky is kind of a reclamation project. He's sort of had his opportunities here and there playing with good players on Washington, but has mostly pushed down, to the third line. This is his opportunity right here. Because after this, I want to say this season, is he an RFA? Yeah, he's an RFA with arbitration rights. He's making $3.250 million. This is a big year for him. He's got to do something if he wants any kind of a contract that's going to be bigger than that number right there. I think he's capable of it. He's got the talent, I would say, to score at least 20 or so goals. Here's his opportunity. Don't blow it. I think he's the only definitive guy on that line, though. The consensus seems that Jonas Donskoy may start on the second and/or third line. We'll see what happens there. Colin Wilson has been talked about being bumped up, or even Tyson Yost to that second line. Now, Tyson Yost, that's another kid who is got to have a big year and may just crack it in this coming season as well. He's got the potential, the pedigree. He's a former first round draft pick. He could also play third line center, which would be big for him. It's a mix between him and Kampfer who does that. And then there's also, so it's definitely one or both of those guys on that line. You could see Kampfer and Yost on the same line as well. Kampfer maybe playing the wing. I think Kampfer plays left wing, I want to say, and center. And of course, Yost plays center, and he also plays, no, Yost plays left wing. Kampfer plays center or right wing, excuse me. And then, and then they get picked up Pierre-Edouard Bellemare from formerly of the Vegas Knights. So, I mean, that's fantastic. He's a great face-off guy. He'll help them out on the penalty kill, which was a little shoddy the last season. So he should help out with that, as well as Connaughton, who I think is buried in the minors right now. He's a defenseman, but he's also great on the PK too. Now, they traded away some of the key departures. I kind of skipped over that part, where Tyson Barrie was traded to the Maple Leafs. Great offensive guy, not so much on D. Carl Soderberg, who was centering the second line before. He's in Arizona. He had 1 more year left on his contract, I want to say. I don't know why they traded him. They could have kept him as that third line center and played both Kampfer and Yost on the wing. Well, maybe they just didn't want to lose him for nothing. And they had some other guys they wanted to try at center as well. They knew they were getting Bellemare. Maybe that's when they knew he'd be expendable. Now, Varlamov, of course, is a big one. The goalie, which we'll get to in a second, he signed with the New York Islanders. Derek Brassard left. I think he's with the Islanders as well. And amongst a few other guys who I don't need to really talk about at the moment. Now, what else? I think we finished with the forwards. Let's talk about... Oh, then there's also AJ Greer, who's a bit of a rookie, who he could crack the lineup as well. Logan O'Connor, don't forget him. So they've got a lot of depth there. It's just a matter of who can have a good year. This offense finally can score by committee. And I wouldn't say it's as deep as, like the Tampa Bays or the Toronto Maple Leafs kind of deep, but it's looking good. And some of those guys could have big years and prove to be on the same level of some of those other teams that I just mentioned. Now, talking about the defense, man, it's good. It's even without Tyson Barrie. Makar, of course, came into the playoffs last season. And was just fantastic. He moves the puck amazingly. He's just such a threat every time he steps on the ice. And then they've got Eric Johnson, and they've got Samuel Girard, Nikita Zadorov, Ian Cole, who I think is injured at the moment, but he may step in. There's Connaughton, who I mentioned earlier, who could step up as well. Calle Rosen, who came across in the Toronto Maple Leaf trade. He could see some time. He's definitely an NHLer, a left shot defenseman in that sixth spot. He'll fit all right there. And of course, Ryan Graves, Barbario. Bowen Byram is the other one who I think had an off year last year because of a concussion. I think he needs some more time to marinate in the minors. I want to say he's only 18 or so years old. But he's a first rounder just from this past year. Oh my God, from 2019. So may he see a cup of coffee here and there? It's possible. It just matters how much he dominates in the AHL, which I think is where he's going to play this coming season. Now let's talk about the goaltenders here. So we have, and this is a bit of a contention, and this is probably the X factor, if any, on this team. Now, I know Grubauer improved steadily all through last year and was amazing in the playoffs. That's just a fact, right? Varlamov was up and down all season long. He's gone. Before that, Grubauer was with Washington, and that during that regular season, 2017-18, I want to say, he was really good stepping in for, oh my God, Washington's regular goaltender, Holtby. Oh my, what? Bit of a brain fart there, sorry. Who had a bad season during that regular season, and then Grubauer was fantastic, and then Grubauer started playing in the playoffs, and then he kind of pooped his pants there. Holtby stepped in, and then Washington won the cup. Hopefully, Holtby all of a sudden stinking through the regular season, just played fantastic in the playoffs. So last year was really Grubauer's first time getting, I want to say, playing really well steadily all throughout. But this year will be his first season, per se, as the definitive number one goaltender. So can he do that? Can he play at least, give or take, around between 50, 55 games and be consistent all the way throughout and play well again in the playoffs. So I'm not fully convinced about Grubauer. Can he do it? Does he have the potential? Absolutely. I don't think there's enough sample size to say he's going to be fantastic and a definite. Not yet. Show me one more year of this, and then you'll make me a believer. Now, the backup there is going to be Pavel Francois. If I'm pronouncing his last name properly. He's actually from the Czech Republic. He's quite the journeyman. He's not a rookie or anything. He's 29 years old. He played 2 games in the NHL last season, and I think he won them both. He played really, really well, but that's it. Just 2 NHL games. Now, he dominated in the AHL, did really well in the AHL last season for the Colorado Eagles. But is he a proper safety net for Grubauer, especially this is going to be his first season being the 1A? I don't know. And I don't know how many games Francois can actually play in order so that Grubauer might not get burnt out in his first year as a number 1 goalie. We'll see what happens there. Now, in terms of going back to the defense, the combinations, Girard, Johnson, Zadorov, Makar, Connaughton, Calle Rosen, that's just a possible one that was on daily face-off. Now, when we look at their cap here, they have cut just over $5 million in cap space right now. It's amazing with this kind of team. And then there's, I want to say there's some on LT. No, there's nothing on LTR, but there's $1.5 million that's on Brooks Orpik on a buyout history that'll be coming out the books after this season. And then there's Tyson Berry's $2.750 million that'll be coming off the books after this season as well. So, and then when we're talking about UFAs, let's get into that with the forward group. Colin Wilson and Matt Nieto, both depth forwards. They'll be UFAs, as well as Jason McGenna, another depth forward. Now, in terms of RFAs, it's going to be Andre Burakovsky. It's going to be a big year for him, as I already mentioned. And then there's Tyson Yost. So, if he has a breakout year, how are they going to pay him? But I'm not worried about Sakic. He knows how to maneuver around that cap, especially seeing as how he signed Rantanen for a really nice deal lately. There's also Valery Natushkin, who will be RFA, and Vladislav Kamenev. On defense, the only UFA we have is Mark Barberio at $1.5 million. He's a left shot defenseman. RFAs with arbitration rights, Nikita Zadorov, that's going to be a big one. He's a great defensive defenseman, left shot D, 24 years old. He's massive. He's like, I want to say he's like 6'5". He was great in the playoffs. That guy they're gonna need to put a bit of money aside for. And then of course there's RFA with arbitration rights, Ryan Graves, a left shot defenseman as well. From the goaltending aspect, they've got Grubauer signed for another couple of years, and Francois, the backup, Pavel Francois, will be a UFA after next season too. And then of course Kevin Connaughton on D. He'll also be a UFA. There you have it. Where do I think Colorado's going to finish? That's a good question. I want to say, now they're in a really tough division. I'm going to say they can finish as high as second in that division. Maybe even first. Now, last season it wasn't great for them. They had some ups and downs. They had a really big losing streak that they went through. But I just think they're going to be better for it. So let's just say they finish, I think, as high as second and no lower. I mean, it is a tough division, but I don't think they finish any lower than third. That's how strongly I feel about them. So we'll see what happens there. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on where you think they're going to finish, what you think about their line combinations, who's going to play on D, on forwards, especially with their depth forwards. Please let me know in the comment section down below. Hit like if you like this video. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And hey, if you happen to have any Hockey Geek friends, please don't feel shy about sharing. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.